Okay, so today's um today's coaching call, I'm going to be maybe making pizza during and it's just going to be a real quick make because when we were moving in, Nick's friend had ended up making pizzas. He left us extra dough to work with, which I thought was really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and make use of that and just make a pizza probably with something in the fridge. I saw he left us mozzarella. I saw he left us canned pizza sauce and he made dough. So we're going to start with that. Let's see. The new oven's really cool. It's got a few preset temperatures on it. I think I'm going to go ahead and preset to 375. And I'll put the pan on a lower rack. That way I can just kind of watch it easily. So got my little pizza pan, getting the dough from the fridge. Okay, and it does not look like there's much at all in the way of additions, which is fine. Cheese pizza is fine. I've got mozzarella, I've got some Parmesan. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. First step, get the hair out of the way. Rinsing my hands off real quick because I had already washed them, but of course I just touched my hair. Ended up purchasing a knife. Ended up purchasing a knife as well. So we've got an extra knife now. And let's see. It had not found a home yet, but I had cutting board brought up yesterday from my car. So we'll have something to cut cheese on. Gonna go ahead and bring out the dough. It's a good little bit of olive oil in it, so I'm gonna try to work that back in. And grease both sides of the dough a little bit here. It's a round pan, so I'm gonna get the dough started on being round as best as I can. And I'm actually gonna take the olive oil chilled in the container and work it onto the pan a bit. Already warming up, so it's loosened. So the move is going really well. We've got, I couldn't tell you how many trips left, but we've definitely got a few left in order to grab the rest of the stuff from the basement. And the the rest of the stuff that I've got occupying the bedroom. Kept that out of commission because technically Nick and I have the lease through Friday, on the old place. So I just left stuff in the room to grab on a later occasion. It's gonna be a real challenge getting the dough to just stay put and fill out the pan. Gonna be a thin one. I will say that. So the move's been going well. I am so excited to be able to do filming in the kitchen. I'll just need to quickly decide how it is I want to set up for that, what I'm going to want to have in play, because I've been wanting to do meal prep Sundays for the longest time. And now I'm going to be in a position where that can happen. So meal prep Sundays, gonna be a thing coming up here soon. I'm loving the kitchen. It's not like so big that you really can have two people just going ham in the kitchen on cooking at the same time. You would want to go into it with a plan. But that being said, so long as you have that plan, there's actually enough room. Definitely more counter space, definitely more cabinet space than the previous apartment, which is great. Because between that and the storage that we've got just around the apartment, I don't have to have all of my small appliances in the basement. Of course, we don't have a basement. We have a garage. It's not directly attached because we're on the third floor, of course, but that is going to be great, not having to worry about trying to go all the way downstairs and get a small appliance that I need. I'm going to be able to store the small appliances I want to store in either cabinets that are directly under me where I am right now, or in the closet right near the entry. Like there's a shelf. So I figured that'll be for the bigger stuff like the bread maker, the large crock pot, so a couple other pieces. It's getting so close to being able to work the dough into staying put long enough. So yeah, as soon as I've got this place set up, I'm legitimately giving you guys a tour. I want you to see it. I am enamored with it. And the part that was weird for Nick, having the master bedroom door right off the kitchen, I think he just hasn't had time really to himself enough to just kind of realize, oh, that's okay. It's not actually too much of a problem. He debated on like whether we should switch the master or switch over to the other bedroom. And I told him I'm not giving up the master bath as a bathtub directly connected to the bedroom. Because the master bath has more of the, like there's more to the surround, so you can actually put multiple products there. And this girl likes her bathing products, so she's gonna want to have the space to rotate stuff. And of course, Nick doesn't use the exact same like shower or anything that I do, so we need the space. So we have not set up the office yet. So I've still been working from my laptop, which is not a problem. Perfectly fine. What I want to make sure happens ahead of next week is getting the computer set up, because I want to run our intended workshop next week. To do that, I would really, really, really like, that was the oven telling me that it's up to temperature. To do that, I would really, really, really like to be able to do some work from my computer this week. So we'll see if possibly on Friday, Nick and I can get the opportunity, maybe tonight, but Friday, probably, that Nick and I can get the opportunity to set up the office a bit more. This girl also likes extra sauce, so we're doing extra sauce. So workshop next week. This week, let's talk a little bit about protein sources again. We talked last week about protein when it came to, making sure it was part of the focus of a post-workout meal and what timing we would want on that. We also talked about protein in a pre-workout kind of way, like X number of minutes to an hour ahead of exercise, making sure that you've got a fast protein source. It's also got maybe some fast carbohydrate in it, just to be able to get what you need to support a workout. So what I'm going to talk about today is a little bit similar. I'm just going to expand on some of what we were talking about last time. So when we're looking at protein for, set this up here for right now. I'm not backlit too badly by the window. When we're talking about protein as a post-workout, the harder the workout, the more likely you want to make sure that you do get a post-workout protein, like quick, a fast absorbing protein source. And a whey protein isolate is going to be one of the best for doing that. Sorry, knife in hand, so I always want to do more paying attention. This is me attempting to create shredded cheese without a grater, by the way. So you want the fast acting protein because that's going to be or the fast digesting protein because that's going to be a good resource for your muscles to rebuild from the hard workout. Muscle soreness from a workout does not come from lactic acid buildup so much as people used to think. It's actually more from the microscopic muscle damage that we experience during workout, which is natural. It's very natural and it's part of our muscles system for growth. Muscles cannot grow without microscopic damage. If you are not working out hard enough to cause some muscle soreness, it doesn't have to be a lot, but even just a little, then you're not actively growing muscle. Now, I'm suggesting that muscle growth be part of your plan, whether you are actively seeking muscle growth or you're actively seeking fat loss or weight loss, because we're talking longevity here. When we are aging, our body will naturally break down muscle in order to provide itself with energy in general. Any one of the major macronutrients, protein, fat, carbohydrate, can be used to provide the body with some energy. When we do not actively use and build muscle, then our body is going to, at some point, start using the muscle as energy. There's even reason to believe that our bodies will attempt to preferentially use protein from our muscle before using our body fat for energy. So adding in strength training prompts the muscle breakdown, even in little bits, that's needed for our bodies to aim to build muscle. Now, if we get enough protein in our diet while we're doing this, then we are able to build onto our muscle even when we are in a caloric deficit for fat loss. So that's important to know. Even if someone was not exercising and they were trying to utilize nutrition only to lose weight, it is still generally recommended to add more protein to their diets so that they lose less muscle during the weight loss process. Probably going to need more cheese than that. Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know that I want to use the whole pound, but I might. At least I think that was a pound. Let me see. Maybe it was just 8 ounces. 8 ounces, half a pound. Okay. which is, technically enough cheese for one pizza. Anyway, yes, so if you were not to be exercising at all and you are aiming to lose weight, it would still be recommended that you include more protein in your diet. Couple reasons there. One is that protein oftentimes helps people feel full or fuller longer. And it is almost always a guarantee that if you are in a caloric deficit, you're probably going to be hungry at some point. There seems to be something mechanistically speaking that prompts women to be hungrier post-workout than men might be. I have not been able to find any definitive science on that, though. Like anything truly conclusive. So I bring that up only because we don't necessarily need a ton of protein in our diet, but some in order to spare muscle, some in order to satiate us. Some in order to potentially build muscle, not just save it from our training, is always going to be a good idea. So what do we want those protein sources to look like? A good variety of proteins generally recommended. Obviously, animal sources of protein tend to be pretty expensive by comparison to plant-based protein sources, depending on what you find tolerable. For example, I am a little bit soy sensitive, so I can't have a ton of tofu, even if I enjoy it in certain things. Like I enjoy tofu in pho. I enjoy there's a skillet fried tofu dish that I really like. Basically just coat tofu in cornstarch, skillet fry it in a little bit of sesame oil, as well as a neutral oil, so canola or a very mild olive oil would do. And making an orange maple dipping sauce for that. So like taking just a little orange juice and a little maple syrup and mixing the two together and dipping the fried tofu in that is really, really good. Very tasty. So you want to double check your protein sources for overall mineral content and try to balance vitamin and mineral content and try to balance what you can. You get a good amount of your B vitamins for sure from animal-based protein sources, in particular B12. That one tends to be lacking in vegetarian and vegan protein sources by comparison to animal products, animal proteins. So if you tend to eat more vegetarian or you're interested in eating more vegetarian or vegan, then you'll want to look for acceptable B12 supplementation. A variety of protein sources, like I said, is going to get you your best variety of minerals and vitamins. How much protein we generally would want in our diets then? Base recommendation for most people is a minimum of 15% of their diet from protein when we're looking at fat loss, muscle building, and potentially, training, making our exercise challenging. Then we're looking at wanting to increase our protein to probably as much as 25 to 30% of what it is we're eating. If we're looking at our caloric content, I tend to lean higher myself, 25 to 30% just in general. Because when I train, I do train hard. And I enjoy weightlifting specifically. So I tend to use my muscles quite a bit on that front. So the protein sources that I tend to lean towards, the easier protein sources, like the faster digesting. Of course, there's the whey protein isolate. I get that in as a post-workout. In terms of a pre-workout snack an hour ahead, cottage cheese works for me pretty nicely. Let's see. When it comes to meals in general, I really enjoy having a bean with my lunch. So black beans or pinto, other things bean or lentils. Today I just happen to be making a pizza, so there is some protein in cheese. Right. That is now on the bottom rack. I'm going to set timer for 15 minutes. Oh, it wanted to ask me if I wanted to start the timer. There it is. Okay. I accidentally turned it off first. On, set the time, and then actually accidentally turned it off. Anyway, so tiny bit of mozzarella while we're waiting. Breakfast proteins. I'm enough of a fan of eggs that I have them most days of the week, either eggs or egg whites. I tend to eat my breakfast a little later on, and that's just simply because I'm not ready to eat when I first wake up. Oh, that was tasty. You could always do 1 to 2 protein shakes in your day. Your muscles will benefit most from that whey protein isolate immediately post-exercise. More complex proteins earlier and later on would be great as well. So when it comes to protein selection, you want to check on your preferred protein sources, like what is the What is the pricing situation on stuff? What have I been doing with respect to variety? And essentially just try to get in a variety of protein sources. If you need more, not necessarily guidance, but suggestion or help, kind of coming up with a protein plan, let me know. Drop it into the comments on this video. We can go ahead and, chat about that. But I think for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and wait out this pizza and continue working on unpacking and organizing in the kitchen. I will talk to you guys later on. Have a good one.